all I can say is it's about damn time. It's about time that I can put together a video that's not only about Thai Airways long-haul business class, but I can also talk about what seems to be 2 years of encouraging news from the airline. It would seem that the airline that used to collect airplane models like Pokemon trading cards has finally turned the corner with a sustainable, and more importantly for them, cohesive strategy. By the way, if you're ever curious about how much I paid for this or any other flight, the exact price out of pocket is always in the description. Let me welcome any of you that might be new to the channel. My name is Kevin. I'm here to give you a self-funded and honest look at some of the best, most unique, or simply most popular airlines and hotels in the world, which I've been bringing to you full-time for going on 5 years. I'd love for you to know more about how I do things on the channel, so simply scan the QR code or check out my hundreds of videos to do so. Let's get into the trip report. It's no secret that I have a deep love for Thailand. For the past decade or so, it's been my home away from home. Last year, Bangkok was the most visited city on Earth, a city with its metropolitan area which is home to more than 25% of Thailand's population. For decades, Thailand has needed Thai Airways to be at the forefront of this success, but they've often just been hanging on by a shoestring, sometimes less. So it just feels good to see a plan for the future laid out, which by all metrics is promising, not just for the bottom line, but also for the customer experience. So, in an ironic twist of events, let me explain how today's flight did not exactly start off too promising. My flight was scheduled for 1 p.m. Midday eastbound long haul. That's one of my favorite kinds of flights. At 11:24 a.m. that day, just like 45 minutes before boarding time, I got an email from Thai Airways saying that the flight had been rescheduled to 6:50 p.m. Luckily for me, I already knew this and was still at my hotel in Stockholm. While I didn't have any notifications from Thai Airways, I sure as hell knew that the plane coming to Stockholm departed about 6 hours late, and so I put 2 and 2 together. For all of the other passengers who I presume all arrived at the airport before the emails were sent out, well, what can I say? It pays to keep tabs on your aircraft. This would be a perfect spot for a Flighty app ad, but it's not. I presume everyone was checked in already, since when I arrived, a little less than 3 hours before departure, there were literally no passengers waiting to check in. I'll tell you all about my EC261 experience later. For now, let's head through this lovely airport and have a look at 2 lounges. The first of which is the MX Lounge, which is actually much more of a restaurant than a lounge. If you're enjoying the video and would like to support the channel, there are many ways that you can do so. A quick like on the video and subscribe helps videos with the algorithm. You could join my YouTube channel memberships to get early access to some videos and access to all of my community posts. Or you could check out my Patreon, where I post the most and can help out with any travel-related questions. Whatever you do, thanks for doing it. The space is operated by a restaurant in the terminal and is a full table service experience. And not to be too cliche, but I of course had to have the meatballs, and my god was this good? Possibly the best business class meal level lounge food that I've ever had. After a while at the MX Lounge, I headed to the SAS Lounge, which was the actual lounge intended with my ticket, a relic of SAS's former Starlines membership. The SAS Lounge here in Stockholm is much more function over form, and just has a very cafeteria vibe to it. Not too different actually from a certain big box furniture store, which might just be Swedish. So, Thai Airways. They've struggled for years. I'll leave the past at that. Since my last Thai Airways video, a lot has happened. They've reincorporated Thai Smile into their operation, bringing their narrow-body and wide-body fleets together again, and also bringing business class back to their narrow-body fleet. This is starting out with Thai beginning to install 2x2 recliners on some of their A320s, and recently they've announced their 32 A321neos on order will be outfitted with full lie-flat business class, using the Thomson Vantage platform, the same one that you can find on Singapore Airlines, Aer Lingus, and TAP Portugal narrow-bodies, among others. Thankfully, they're not stopping there though. After retiring 18 wide-body aircraft, including 12 777s and 6 A380s, which are fading away at Suvarnabhumi up for sale, they needed to expand their wide-body fleet, and have been doing so at a steady pace, both with their A350 deliveries and a few ex-Virgin Atlantic A330s which they picked up. The biggest news, though, has been an order for 45 787 family aircraft due to begin deliveries hopefully in 2027. All the while, Thai has announced a retrofit program for their A350s and 14 777s, which will bring them in line with the new business class and premium economy cabins expected on their new 787s. Rumored to be the Thomson Aero Advantage Nova seat. So there's a lot going on. The first time in a long time, maybe ever, that I've seen Thai with more aircraft on order than in their fleet at the moment. In the past, that would have been worrying, but with their new restructuring plans, I think it's exciting to see the carrier coming back to life. Our boarding time was meant to be at 6 p.m., but the crew didn't show up until 6:15, a delay that I can't really wrap my head around. But eventually we got on board, and based on the vibe that I was getting from the waiting area, I think I was right. They've all been here for 8 hours. From the moment that I stepped on board, it was a warm welcome followed by some of the most efficient pre-departure procedures that I've ever witnessed. Pre-departure drinks were rightfully skipped to speed things along. I was one of the first to board at 6:41, and we pushed back at 7:02. That's like domestic Japanese flight boarding level efficiency. The seats are laid out in a 1-to-1 staggered configuration, with half of the seats being closer to the aisle and the others being closer to the center for the honeymoon seats, or like mine, closer to the window. These are the seats that Thai has on most of their A350s and all of their 777s. I've often seen reports about them not being in the best shape, but I found the condition to be just fine, and the seats themselves were very comfortable. I've flown the same seat multiple times on Avianca, Etihad, Air India, and quite a few others. It's not groundbreaking, and not the most private, but it certainly gets the job done pretty comfortably. The ever-so-tropical safety briefing began, and we pushed back. Before the dinner service begins, let's take a look at some of the comforts on board. There were quite a few of them waiting for us as we boarded. First up, a nice size and surprisingly springy pillow. Followed by a very comfortable duvet-style blanket, which was both lightweight and soft. There was also a mattress pad, which I love to see. We'll see that in action in a little bit. And finally, a decent pair of slippers. The meal service started off with drinks and a fruit and nut mix, followed by canapes, followed by another drink service, and then the meal itself. This might sound like a drawn-out experience, but let me read to you from my notes. Quote, "Service on board was in sync like an orchestra, or maybe a championship football team, or whatever analogy you want to make. Teamwork and the handoff of tasks was purely seamless." End quote. Everything was lightning fast, but never felt rushed. This was a crew that knew exactly what they were doing, and I counted 6 of them active in the moderately sized business class cabin. Normally, for a cabin this size, I'd expect 4. Here's the full menu and wine list. Note that the prices next to the wines are my addition to the graphic just to give you an idea of the wine value on board. Of course, they're free to drink. The canapes were grilled scallop with herb cream cheese and pickled cucumber, and pickled red apple salad with smoked cauliflower puree, and hazelnut mayonnaise on a rye bread crouton. I'm generally not a fan of chilled scallops, but overall it was a nice attempt. 7 out of 10. For the starter, we had creamy cod rillettes, pickled cucumbers, and apples with grainy mustard vinaigrette and Danish rye bread crisps. Rye in the first 2 dishes. This is going well for me. The starter was delicious, but I do have to say, what happened to Thai's beautiful serveware? These plain and square plates are not really doing it for me. The starter, though, was a 7.9 out of 10. For the mains, there were 3 choices. Grilled beef tenderloin with almond romesco sauce, slow-roasted salmon fillet with creamy dill sauce, or my choice, a chicken green curry with bamboo shoots served with Thai jasmine rice, Thai omelet, and sautéed vegetables. This was a bit standard, but delicious, and had a decent-sized portion. 8.1 out of 10. Following that was a massive fruit and cheese plate, and then a salted caramel chocolate cake with vanilla cream. Collectively, I'd give those 2 a 9 out of 10. From the start of the warm nuts mix until my final dessert course, it was exactly an hour and 15 minutes. This crew should really be recruited to work short transatlantic red-eyes. Entertainment on board could be controlled with your remote or with your touchscreen. The interface is a bit dated, but it's responsive and had a decent selection, along with a rotating moving map and tail camera. Service on board continued exactly as it started. In between services, I'd say a member of crew walked through the cabin at least once per hour, and in between that, they were also very responsive to call bells. They were warm, attentive, and just very Thai. I watched some Netflix until we were just about over the Black Sea, and then got a solid few hours of sleep in my comfortable seat with a mattress pad on top. The space is comfortable, I just wish that the blanket was a little bit longer. I woke up around 3 hours before landing and decided to begin the caffeination process. Note that there are mid-flight meals available by request from the all-day dining portion of the menu, but dinner was huge, so I didn't feel the need. Let's get ready for breakfast, or lunch now I guess, and take a look at the amenity kit on board. The kits are by Jim Thompson, a name that you might not associate with all things Thai, but his story of procuring and selling Thai silks is pervasive throughout Thailand, and you'll find Jim Thompson silk boutiques in nearly every high-end mall in Bangkok. Inside was a very nice assortment with a matching eye mask along with some toiletries and lotions. I love when airlines lean into local companies for their amenity kits, and I think this is a great fit for Thai. Bathrooms on board were spotless throughout the flight and in great condition, a difficult task for those white counters and sinks. The bathrooms were also equipped with the best airplane bathroom feature ever. Around 90 minutes before landing, the pre-arrival meal service began. On offer were 3 choices for the main: baked eggs with spinach and mushrooms, Nordic pancakes, or braised chicken thighs with shiitake ginger sauce. I went with the latter. In a similar way to the dinner service, this was definitely Thai food made for a Western palate, which I understand but also wish it wasn't so. Either way though, it was tasty enough at a 7.2 out of 10. Flying over Myanmar, we began our descent into Bangkok, with especially beautiful views of Bangkok along the way. So let me now tell you about my EC261 claim experience. In case you have no idea what I'm talking about, flights operating to, from, or within the EU are protected by EC261, which says passengers are entitled to a certain level of compensation depending on the nature and length of non-weather related delays. The maximum amount you can be eligible for is 600 euros per person. And with our flight having landed over 6 hours late, that is exactly what was applicable for this flight. The process for making the claim, in theory, is simple. The problem is finding the correct contact information to forward the claim to. This is why there's EC261 claim brokers so pervasive on the internet. Maybe they would be able to do it very easily and quickly, but they take a 30% commission, and I just wasn't having that. In total, my full process took 16 emails, round trip emails, is that what we call them? 16 emails from me over the course of 4 months before I received my compensation. This, to me, is ridiculous. But apparently there was a confusion from the Thai Airways Swedish office as to how to pay out my claim since I had a US account, which was approved just a few weeks after the flight. Long story short, the US office doesn't handle it anymore. It's the Japan office that handles it for some very odd reason. So it seemed like the Swedish office was getting the runaround just as much as I was. I will say though, I really do wish more governments would enact similar legislation. I had to pay for a late checkout, I had to pay to change my connecting flight in Bangkok, and I was totally fine with it because I'd be entitled to this claim. That said, I'm not holding my breath for anyone else to enact this. Enjoy the beautiful landing. And so, that is that. Thai Airways is definitely on the up and up. A new business model, a new passenger experience in the works, an excellent crew on board. If they could just put a bit more Thai into their Thai food, I think it would do them a world of good. I'm really optimistic about what's to come from them. So I really do hope that you enjoyed today's flight to Bangkok. If you did, please be sure to click that like button and subscribe with notifications on so you don't miss out on my weekly flight and hotel reviews. I'll see you next time on Singapore Airlines, and Scoot, and Wings Air. It's a bit of an odd one. Thanks as always for watching until the end.